Welcome to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast, recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois. We're all about thriving marriages and living free from alcohol. Welcome to episode 99 for February 2nd, 2025.
Well, hello there, children. Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast. I am Matt, along with Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I am wonderful, Coach
Matt.
Matt.
You got 99 problems, but a podcast ain't one. Except the podcast intro, we realized we rewrote it last week. And nobody apparently caught
not last week, a couple of weeks ago.
Last
podcast.
And we didn't read close enough, and Amy's reading it this week, and I'm like, it said, we're all about living free from alcohol and thriving marriages. I'm like, wait, I know we're living free from alcohol, comma, and no. But the way
we are free from it all.
Yeah, free
and
from
we're
marriages
all about big laughs.
and big laughs. So this is take 3 for those of you keeping score at home. We'll get there. All right. Well, if you love train wrecks like this, don't forget to like, subscribe to this fun-filled good time here. But yeah, episode 99, almost
99.
to 100.
Man.
And I just found another person here in the
99.
cornfields who is a non-drinker of 8 years, 4 years before I even quit. So I might try and get him on the podcast, see if he's open to it.
I know we've got a couple other people.
I know.
If we can
get them lined up.
If we can get them in. The thing is, people don't. Many times they're very apprehensive. They won't. We're still held back by the perceptions of what other people will think about us.
Yes. This person, though, I don't think he
won't
will.
care.
No, based on what he
I
posted.
hope he comes on. It would be.
I think
he
would.
Great.
I think he would. He's a chatterbox too. So, and if you need some reading material while you're quitting drinking, we have those 7 tips to start your AF journey. That's a link there down below. Get that from Coach Amy's website.
And then we've got our weekly marriage meeting guide.
My favorite. Love it. We do it every week. We're not just. It's free. Go download it. We do it every single week ourselves.
We do.
Love it.
I do. I have to say, yes, I do love it.
But the one thing that's not in the marriage meeting guide, Amy, is tell your wife she's right. So I am here this week, children, to tell you Coach Amy was right.
Whoop, whoop.
Coach Amy loves to try and keep Matt alive.
Okay, but let's just put this out there. We have been on probably in the last, I don't know. It seems like forever.
We've been on a health
me.
journey.
But yeah, we've been on the health journey roller coaster.
Well, we're newly full-on empty nesters the last year and a half now. So that's probably started our Matt and Amy 2.0 real life, right?
Yeah. So
you had a fitness coach program thing that you went through, not to become a fitness coach, but she helps you through food and exercises, and we have our anyway.
Yes, that was part of it, and we have our trainer.
Long story
Nicolette
short,
the local YMCA.
Yes, we love Nicolette.
She is amazing. She likes to kick our butts.
She does. So Coach Amy always is listening to podcasts and watching videos, and she always has the health tip of the day, it seems like. You should eat this and eat that. And I'm like, what is this new thing I've never heard of?
And then people ask me, they're like, well, why are you taking that? I'm like, you know what? Here's the thing. I do my research on different things, and then I just make that decision. I'm like, yeah, I'm all in. And then I'm like, I don't remember why I'm all in.
And then I'm in too. So...
there's certain things.
Yes. Okay. Yes, we know you're crazy. So she has a lot of things she's brought into the mix over the years, about a year and a half.
Over the years, though, too.
Yeah. But some of the things I do blindly because she says it's a good idea and I just do it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, is it really, though? Should I be doing it? But I'll do it anyway. Hold on. I got blood work done.
Yes.
And my doctor, of course, is like, you should be on a statin. I'm like, no, I'm 50 years old. I'm not going to be on a statin for the next 30 years of my life. Why don't we talk about health options, like healthy lifestyle?
Maybe, how about let's go to a nutritionist.
Exactly. So they referred me to a nutritionist. Like, see what they say. I talked to the nutritionist. Long story short, I know, way too late. Coach Amy was right. Everything I pointed out, she's like, you're doing that right, and this is right. I said, well, what about this one that I questioned Amy about? Oh, no, that's fine. Oh, what about that? Nope, that's fine. What about, nope, that's fine. I'm like, okay, yeah. Really, the only thing she said, she was anti-statin, which, yay, her. She was pro the calcium heart scan, which I had already done and got a good score on that. So she was, you're the only really feedback.
Wasn't it like clear?
Well, it's like 0 to 10 is your score, and I was like a 0 to 1 and a 4. I think 4 is my highest, but that was still within normal for my age and everything. So we were fine there. The only real takeaway she had was pretty much there was one supplement I could swap that supposedly does better with clearing LDL. And then she said add some, I really just need to add more fiber. But otherwise, I was fine. So I got in the car and I called Amy and I said, you were right.
And I said, you're welcome.
I know. So I get
You
for
are
questioning
welcome.
you. So I'm just here to officially proclaim.
I am not a quack follower.
Well, and she goes, well, you have to be careful who you listen to, but she must be listening to the right people because you're doing it right.
I listen to all because I find it fascinating to listen to just different perspectives and what people are doing. And a lot of times I'll be like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, not doing that. But that's good for them. I'm all about eating whole food now.
Right.
Real food.
We make most all of our stuff. I've even made our own hummus.
Food made, food found in nature.
Actual food, buddy, not candy.
Not in a box.
True. Yeah.
Now,
like they say, right? Stick to the outside edges of the grocery store. Which we pretty much do.
now, but
To
there's
the point
some
that even
things,
your
too.
son who came home for a brief
He
stint
saw
looked in the
that-
pantry and he goes, wow, we really did clean up. You don't have any fun food in here. I don't know what he calls fun food, but
Fun food is food that is bad for you. Well,
we have pretzels. When we redid the pantry, you did have a junk shelf.
but see, I'm not anti-carb. Obviously, I eat fruits and vegetables. Those are carbs.
Right.
But I really do. I really have cut back on bread. Like I have, I use one of those wraps. If I'm going to
extreme
have
wellness wraps. Yeah.
I will have that.
Lower carb. Yeah.
Those are much lower, and I'm just like, no, I can't. And this will lead us into something
But
else, so
yeah,
I will
hold on.
not.
But I-
I'm
but I
not
feel-
going to move forward.
But I feel like this has all become, and I think our mutual friend, who I just learned is a non-drinker, his activity in health life seemed to go. If you track back, like through his social media, you can see like, oh, he got more involved in these healthier things. Like you quit drinking, like, oh, I feel better. Well, what else can I do that make me feel better? And I think it just becomes a natural progression after you quit to just kind of like, oh, I can do more now, and I have more energy. And well, if I didn't do that, now if I add something good in, and it's not something that happens in one day, but over time, it's awesome.
No, and I would have to say that it's also a mindset. Again,
Right.
stepping out of that deprivation mindset that, oh, I'm going to be doing this, and if I'm eating healthy, I'm not going to be having any fun. I can't
Right.
have this. I can't have that.
But you
and I'm
can.
not. You can, but there are certain things that now I'm even looking at. Like I'm not. I know this sounds horrible. I'm not eating crumble cookies anymore.
Okay,
When-
so I thought, okay, we can stay married. I thought you were going to say you weren't going to eat ice cream. That I got to draw a line somewhere, Amy.
But I'm like, when I saw like what their ingredients are,
Right.
I'm like, I'm
All
out.
right, well, I know what you want to get into because we're going to talk about our Lingo continuous glucose monitor experience.
Yes, I really want to get into that.
Because sugar is a big thing when you quit drinking. And then Amy wants to help us get our LINT out of our brain. But before we do that, let's talk about our drink of the week. Coach Amy, what do you have?
Okay. Well, it's not open, but it is.
Because you're cold and...
Because I am freezing right now. Because I decided today that I was just...
Winter was over.
I'm done with winter today. And then
It's still cold.
in the afternoon, it was raining. And I was like, apparently I'm not over. So my drink is the Untitled Art non-alcoholic chocolate dark brew. It is so
It is definitely... Well, it's Untitled Art. Untitled... You will never lose with Untitled Art. I promise
It is
you
really
that.
good. And it's like 90 calories. Oh my gosh, it has 2 grams of protein.
Oh, it's like a protein.
Woohoo!
It's a protein beer.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's high or low for an NA beer. I've never really tracked the
21
protein.
carbs,
You're always gonna have the
0
carbs.
fat.
Usually got some carbs, but the protein is interesting. I've never really tracked.
I had no
protein.
idea. I didn't really even look. But anyways,
No.
it's really good. If you want to get that little bit of a chocolate dark beer
It
going
is
on.
very good. I found something new. I never drank this when I was a drinker because it was relatively new-ish. Mick Ultra has been around for a long time. It's a little skinny can. They just came out with Mick Ultra Zero at only 29 calories. So it's a 0.0, so it's not even like a 0.5 type one.
Yeah. 29 calories.
Yeah, and it tastes fine. I would put it probably, it's a macro, zero alc beer. So I mean, it's inexpensive, which is a nice, relatively inexpensive. I personally would probably still go with, I think Bud's one of my favorite.
But would you call that like a vacation beer?
Yeah, this will always be a great vacation beer, especially if you're a person who
I
has
would
a bunch
take
of
this.
those.
And
If you have the skinny koozies already, this is what you got to get.
the skinny koozies.
It is a little ladyish. It's the skinny can, and it's this little pale blue color. So
You were like, this is so girly.
it's not the manliest of beer cans. I will give you that.
I actually used to really enjoy.
Yeah, it'd be
That
good.
was one of my picks, but so I'm excited about having this as a summer
They're
girly beer.
It seems like they are definitely trending towards the ladies with this can.
It's a
for sure.
girly beer.
But I mean, hey, it's anything for the grandkids. I do it all for you. So
There you go.
all right. Well, I didn't look at the health content. I'm sure there's no protein in it. But we do want to talk about sugar. So when you quit drinking, and I know, like,
And you might be experiencing this.
Yes.
I mean, this is the last day of
oh yeah,
January
I hope you had a good dry
that
January,
we're recording
kids.
this. And I just want to say for all of you, congratulations.
Yes, try February.
Congratulations. Keep going if you want. If not, and if you feel like, hey, I've made my challenge, I'm done.
There you go.
Good for you too. But if you are starting to
Enjoy
feel
being sober.
those benefits, and you're like, I would just encourage you to maybe just keep going, see what it's like,
Yep.
because the real benefits start to kick in at 60 and 90 days,
Yep.
100 days. So, but good for you.
I was not a big sugar person, like candy, sweets.
You were not at all.
And I quit drinking, and I became the freaking cookie monster of sugar.
Oh my gosh.
But-
Like a huge, like a person I have never seen
And
eat sweets
Oh,
in
yeah.
our entire, was bellying up with the ice cream.
ice cream and cups of things of chocolate chips and licorice and just all, you name it.
Oh yeah, sugar monster.
So I want to read this for the listeners anyway. There's a number of reasons that sugar cravings come when you quit alcohol. So eating something sweet kind of quells that desire for alcohol. Part of it's that, your sugars, the activity in the brain's reward system, like
it's,
alcohol.
It's
right?
the same.
Little dopamine hit from it. So it kind of,
Not a little.
well, true. But
It's-
it helps kind of mute that kind of urge. And you're substituting that physical action of eating candy in place of drinking alcohol. So you're getting a little reward from eating it. So it's sort of as a substitute.
Like it can be definitely a replacement.
And alcohol basically processes the sugar in your body anyway. So it's kind of, a even, but
And your liver processes it
Yeah.
very similarly.
yeah. So it's still a little hard on your liver, but you're better off than drinking. So it's sort of like pick your demon. That's how I looked at it. All right. It's okay in the short run, but not the long run, right? Like you just want to sit there
I
and
would
say,
definitely.
Right.
I'm gonna say that definitely was one of those things when we would go out to eat, and since I knew I wasn't having my 2 glasses of wine, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm having the dessert."
which calorie wise, you're probably, if you're careful, it would be an even, which would probably be why some people may not see that quick drop in weight, right? Because if I quit drinking, but I'm substituting my alcohol with a bunch of candy or something.
I
Right?
laugh though because I didn't see like a huge amount, but there was definitely some shifting that went on because I was
Yeah, you did say your weight didn't change, but like your pants still fit differently.
yeah.
Yeah.
That happened in a month. Like I went down a size but didn't change. It was
Right.
really crazy.
Right.
Like it changed a little bit, maybe a couple pounds the first month.
Right. So I guess the lesson is, don't worry about the sugar. You need to not let it go forever.
Yes.
But in the short run, if that's helping you quit drinking, okay. And then you and I personally kind of just sort of chisel away at it a little bit of time. Fast forward to now, and
yeah.
a couple different companies have the continuous glucose monitors that you can get
Yes.
without a prescription.
So we've been thinking about doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Abbott makes the Lingo. There's other brands.
yeah.
The
So
one-
we were just like, well, let's just try. I've always wanted to do it.
Right.
And let me just put out
and
there.
we're not diabetic. We're not.
No, but the reason I wanted to do it was because my dad is a diabetic.
Right.
I had gestational diabetes.
Right.
So it was, I have the propensity
Right.
to possibly have that
Yeah.
happen. So,
And we're just kind of an interesting data point. It's like, oh, let's see.
yes. So we did.
So we ordered those. We just did the 2-week one just to try it out.
And it was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it is the version 2 of the Abbott makes the Freestyle Libre, I think it is. And this is just like the older gen that now they market as, and like you check all these boxes. I am not diabetic. I am not on insulin. I will not use this for a minute. Like you're basically purely doing this for funsies, for real. But it's real data. Like it's.
But did you? Okay, even though I will not say. Did you show this to the nutritionist?
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course.
And even she said, "Well, that looks good."
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. But what was your experience with? Yeah. Generally, we had a good experience with it.
We did.
Yeah. But what was your experience applying it? Because there's a little needle.
We should. That was one thing we did. Record.
I do have that video. Yeah.
But you know what? That part, which everybody's like, "Oh, it's not that bad. You just put it in and everything," and I'm like, "Okay," and I did it, and that hurt.
See, I didn't think it did. You did.
So, but I don't know. Maybe where I applied it, I don't know exactly. It was like
maybe
here.
caught a muscle or a nerve or something
know.
went in.
So, anyways, yep. And I have noticed a couple of times when I would move, like if I
Well, because it leaves the needle goes in and it basically deploys the filament that stays behind. But
Yeah.
the filaments when we took it off, it's actually fairly
pretty long,
and it's fairly it's like a really stiff fishing line kind of thing. So you kind of feel it once in a while in there.
But there was a couple of times that I if you sleep, whichever side you sleep on,
put it on the other arm.
put it on the other arm.
Yeah,
Big
learn that after
mistake.
the fact.
That was a big mistake. And that actually kind of messed with maybe this. Was it the
First night?
The first night.
Yeah.
It was the first night. Like it didn't register at first.
But then it woke up and.
But then so I didn't have over the middle of the night data.
Yeah.
But then after that, it was fine.
And it takes a couple of days to kind of get a trend. To kind of because the first couple of days are pretty turbulent when you look at the data. Then all of a sudden you start smoothing out as it learns your blood. I guess I don't know. But it gave us a chance to do a lot of experiments, partially just watching what happened. But
Well, because I think, granted, I probably should have looked this up, but you only want a certain amount, obviously, of sugar in your bloodstream.
Right.
So you want to keep it within that glucose level below 117.
First off, we are not medical professionals. This is not medical advice.
Yes,
We are
there
just
is
telling
no
you
advice here. We're
this
just
is our
sharing our experience.
But the app says you want to be below 117 is your daily average glucose level.
Yes,
Mine ended up after 2 weeks at 107.
I think mine was like right around 95, 97.
Right.
Mine
Mine would have been better except a couple experiments I did.
Well, and the other thing you did. Well,
Okay,
share about that because you were right.
There were some surprise things that I didn't think were going to spike it that did. Bananas, oddly, would have a lot of sugar.
No, that didn't surprise me at all,
But
which was funny though.
Just for fun, I love the licorice nubs. Little I forget the
the
brand.
Twizzlers, I think,
They're
or something like
they're
that.
a different brand.
Oh
Anyway.
no, okay, I know which ones they
But
are.
anyway, I took 6 of them. I measured out 6. I knew how much sugar was in it, and it was a pretty big spike. Fast forward about I think the second week we were doing this, I got tea at Jimmy John's where you pour your own. They have the regular tea and the sweet tea. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do mostly regular, and maybe a third of it was sweet, maybe a third. So I knew I wasn't gonna do half of it because I'm being conscious of the sugar. But let's see. I'm like, oh, this shouldn't be too bad. Holy crap, it literally went off the chart. It went up to like 200. Now, the good news is it recovers fast, which was one of the other things you look at when you use these.
Yeah, you want the spike that goes up, but if it comes down really quickly too,
Right.
that's also really good.
So that was interesting. But you had a little interesting thing with your dates.
Yes, because it was one day after work, and there was a couple of things here. One day after work, I hadn't eaten anything since lunch, so it's probably 3:34 in the afternoon, and I usually would have like a snack. We were going to run somewhere, and so my snack, I grabbed 3 dates. Those Medjool, I think is what they are.
Yeah.
I love those dates so much. And
And
woo, it skyrocketed way up on that, which was interesting because dates are actually not supposed to be as bad, I guess.
Not as high on the we also did a lot of
Yeah,
Googling on
yeah,
the glycemic index
yeah.
of food.
But now I kind of bottomed out. I think I was down to like 77 or something. And I think because, I hadn't had anything to eat and everything, it just shot way
Right.
up.
It was the only thing your body had.
It was
Yeah.
like that. So that was just interesting. But then it recovered
Right.
pretty quickly.
Right.
And so then we kind of messed around with some different things. The other thing was stress.
Yes. Well, stress and exercise both can cause it to go up. It won't necessarily spike, but it goes up.
And the day that it was very stressful,
You were very turbulent for sure.
we were reorganizing the pantry,
Yes, which it will challenge any marriage.
which was hysterical. Like the whole day, it was like higher.
If you just newly quit drinking, I wouldn't recommend doing that right now. Let's wait on the pantry, kids. Just saying.
So, but anyways, that was just an interesting observation to see that, stress really does. And it wasn't like it was a bad stress. It was just,
Right.
you're pulling everything out. I don't like a mess. You don't like having this big mess.
What are we doing? How is this?
Why
gonna
are
go?
we
Yeah.
doing this? How are we doing this? And, but then once we got that down, then it just came right down. And it was funny because I work with one, the employees at the shop was talking about, she's a diabetic, and she was like, oh yeah, stress was going all of it. She's a type 1 diabetic, and it was just kind of an very,
And you're like, look at this.
yeah. So we were kind of discussing that. She's, was kind of sharing with me some different insights as well. But I think that is, that stress, that was surprising to me.
And we also learned that the allulose as a sweetener is a great substitute. It definitely will not spike.
And it helps.
Stevia's better. Way far better than sugar. It still goes up more than allulose. Allulose is definitely the.
But allulose really doesn't spike, and allulose can help prevent you from having a spike. Because then I went ahead and had some allulose before I had
a date,
and it did not spike the same way. So it's just kind of a really interesting. And then also with apple cider vinegar can bring those spikes down as well.
It's just you have to be careful because some people start getting into it and they kind of get addicted to trying to flatline out their sugar and over index everything.
No. And that was not our point. I wanted to see, okay, how does we had a brunch this last week,
right?
And so it was kind of well, let's see what happens with different foods that I haven't eaten. We made the oatmeal that we used to love making all the time. And I'm like, whoa, but maple syrup.
Take the maple syrup out, maybe that change. Yeah. So it just makes you look at things a little different. Like when you go out to eat or you're doing your food choices, you're like, maybe I'll choose this over this because that's very processed, or that I know that has a lot of sugar and I can have this, equivalent, and that won't have as much sugar.
But yeah, it does make you very conscious about it. And also, making those healthier choices. But I've also, some of the doctors that I listen to, they've also said, one of is if we could have people do this for 2 weeks, a month.
My nutrition said the same thing. I wish more people had access.
Could use this tool,
right,
and see how food actually interacts with your body.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine, because there's so many people who, either they just drink pop or Starbucks drinks, and there's so much sugar in there. And I'm just like, wow, that, we as a society, there's so many people are pre-diabetic and don't even know it.
And I think when you look at it, it's not bad. I mean, it's good that you go up and down because that's what your body's supposed to do. But think about how often you're doing that to your body is the question, right? Yeah. So it's no, it's not bad to have a brownie here or some ice cream there or whatever you want to have. But can you imagine looking at that spike that I had with my sweet tea, and say here's somebody, which is the equivalent of having a can of pop. So amazing, 3 or 4 cans of pop in a day. Well, it takes about 2 hours to run that cycle. You never come down. Your body is constantly pumping out insulin to try and recover, and you can just keep pouring gasoline on it. So it's that kind of knowledge of okay, I can have one and then put some time between next time I do something like that, right? But I may not get the giant tub-o cherry Pepsi at the movie next time.
Well, I think what was, like you said, you're like, well, it's that visual.
Right.
You're sitting there looking at that going, all I can see is a spike.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like me. Like now when I look at a drink,
Alcohol. Yep.
I sit there and go, I just have my red Solo cup there with stale beer and cigarettes.
There you go. Well, there you go, kids. Yeah, so check it out if you want to. We have no discount code. We're not affiliated with anybody. Yeah, we're not medical professionals. But if you want to try out Lingo, it's kind of fun. It's an interesting
it was
step on your health journey.
I kind of have that ghost thing. And I noticed also that I was the phantom like feeling. And also I noticed how I was going to the app for
there's no more data.
I'm like, it's over.
It's over. We'll do it again.
It's done.
We may wait till like the summer or something. Don't do it around Christmas, though. You'll just ruin your holidays.
I honestly think it would be good to do it in the summer when you're more active, or the spring when you're able. Because you and I, when we did it, we haven't been able to go on
as many walks.
The walks
and being
that
out in the yard doing stuff.
Even the time that we go on walks. It's been bitter cold, and it's been, okay, is this a 1 or 2 block walk with the dog? That's kind of changed. So
yeah, check it out. Don't worry about your sugar too much, kids, when you quit, but it can be a helpful crutch, but don't let it go on too long, because too much sugar can be as bad on your liver as keep on drinking. So a lot of non-alcoholic liver disease comes from too much sugar. So don't sleep on it, but Amy, how do I get this lint out of my brain?
Well, I wanted to bring this up because overcoming self-doubt and people-pleasing. And this I got from Mel Robbins.
Good thing I'm not a people-pleaser or anything.
I know it. Such a good thing. But it was really interesting today. I have an app that I use called Growth Day, Brendan Burchard. If you're interested, we will put the little link in there if you want to sign up for it or try it out or whatever. It is a great, productivity, growth app. So I love it. I just, all the information, all the different coaches who come in and teach. But Mel Robbins, who is one of the top coaches, she was talking about understanding the LINT trap of your mind. And what the LINT trap is, it's your RAS, your reticular activative system.
Ooh, that's a big word.
Yes, but it basically, the way it works is it filters out all the unnecessary things that we don't need to know. So, and when
you can't store it on your brain.
You can't store it. And we have so many things that are coming at us all the time. We would go crazy because we just couldn't keep up with it. Our brain couldn't. So it filters out like unimportant things, or things that, okay, I just normally will go brush my teeth, or the best example is when you go and you drive somewhere and all of a sudden you're like, how the heck did I get here? Because your brain just kind of takes over those functions. Right. That it deems, these are repeated enough. I don't have to worry about these activities. So, but what is also interesting about this is because we have so many negative thoughts that come into our brain all the time, we have this system that all of a sudden it starts to look for negative things. It can be geared towards positive, but many times because we have so many negative thoughts to keep us alive. I mean, basically. So all of a sudden, if you have all of these negative thoughts and you're not even consciously aware of them, like, oh, well, I don't, look at me. I don't, you have all those different things. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough, or all these different things, or, I'm worried about what they think. Do they think this about me? Right. But those thoughts start to come in and they get caught in the reticular activating system. And so if you have this negative mindset and you're not cleaning it out, as she was saying, what happens is all of a sudden you're like in this drudgery. Does that make sense?
But what does being a people pleaser have to do with that?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Let me read my notes.
Sorry. I have more questions than answers.
No, it's okay.
But I can define Lint while you look
yes,
that up.
tell them what about like I really liked her definition. Go ahead.
So Lint is losing inspiration due to negative thoughts.
Yes. And so what happens is, so maybe you have all these self-doubts that come up, and those get caught in there too. So you have all these like, I'm not good enough, I can't do that. Oh, that person did this. Well, I can't do this. This happens to all of us all the time.
So while your brain is cleaning out all this extra stuff, it still holds on to the noise of the negative.
So you've got this, and so all of a sudden,
it's like you're collecting negative thoughts, but throwing the rest away.
Yes. And so then when you look at this, also, many of us are people pleasers. And also this lint that you just described, we have to get in there and we have to clean this lint out. Yes. We have to fight back those negative thoughts. And many of my clients will hear me say this. If you have a negative thought that's coming up and it's like a ruminating thought and you're hearing it over again and that, I have done this. I'm like, just stop. Right. You can tell that negative. No, I'm not going to think that. That is not what I'm going to think today.
Well, according to self-doubt is a type of mental lint, right? On its own.
It is. It is. And so you have those self-doubt, and then we're a people pleaser. Okay? So many of us are sitting there. I want to make sure that Matt's happy about something. And we start looking for this external validation.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, because, so I'm doubting myself, but then I'm like, oh, I want to go to you. And to tie this into drinking, this happens a lot. Well, what are they going to think? I'm not going to drink anymore.
If I say no, then they won't go and they won't have a good time.
They're not going to and they're not going to do. And we start to worry about what they're thinking. And so we're looking for this external validation. Yes. And then all of a sudden, you don't have it. Right. Like, oh, you're not drinking with me anymore? And you want to please them or you don't want to disappoint them. Right. Right? So what we have to do, and I firmly believe this, we have to, and we have this in us. And I've learned this not only from listening to Mel Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Dr. Lee Warren, who I absolutely love, and Roseanne, who has been on with the Choose Freedom program that I coach. We have to look inside of us. Right. We have to get our own validation from us, inside of us. And we have to let go of that. I have to feel good about myself because you're validating me. Right. And
because you're going to build up so much more lint so much faster because I live this life of, they didn't like that or they think, and all you're doing is doing that all the time.
Yes. And so what you have to do is you have to say, okay, no, I'm not thinking this anymore. I am worthy. I am capable. I can do this.
And darn it, people like me.
Well, somewhat.
Yeah.
I mean, but also with that inside that I will bring in like some of the mental fitness, that inner sage, that inner knowing. Right. But as a believer in Christ, I also know that I have the Holy Spirit living in me. And so I can go into that and say, wait a minute, what does God say about me? I am worthy. I am someone who can do these things. I can overcome things. I am a person who had a drinking problem and I no longer do that. Right.
And I think I don't know if it's a people pleaser thing, but the drinking thing, I think at first I was like, well, what do people think of me? Or, what do I say? Or will I stand out? And now I've worked through it long enough to get to the point where I'm like, that's why we have the podcast. That's why we do this. Like, I don't have any shame in, you want to know I'll tell you exactly what I did. I have no shame in it. Was it a good choice? No.
No.
Am I proud of it? No. But do I think it's better on their side? Yes. And am I going to step down or be ashamed or be bullied because you don't like that I don't drink? I don't care.
Exactly. See, and you have that now because of what's inside of you.
But I will say to anybody who's quitting, newly quitting,
that's hard.
It is hard.
That's hard.
I mean, that's why that's part of the reason why this podcast has Drink of the Day, because one of my biggest things when I quit was trying to find ways to look normal so I wouldn't be getting that. And I think that was a convenient crutch, good crutch, not a bad crutch, a healthy crutch, if you will, to get to the point where now I'm like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like for a while, it's like, oh, I still fit in. Look, I don't look like I'm out of place, and I can kind of get level with myself. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. And I think one of the things is when we're trying to tackle that self-doubt, to tie it in with this, self-doubt says to you, it will never happen for me.
Right.
Like you start to compare yourself. Oh, well, look where they're at. Well, that's not going to happen for me.
Imposter syndrome's in that same category.
But what we have to do is we have to learn to spot that thought, that particular LINT, and we go ahead and we say, wait a minute. Because it has happened for them, why can't it happen for me too?
Right.
Why can't I do this? And that when you start to take on and change that mindset around it, that's where you start building confidence.
Right.
And once you start like, oh, I went to this event. Oh, it was awkward. Right. I went and it was really crazy. It was weird and I felt different, but that's okay. Whenever you do something new, it's going to be awkward. Whenever I always go back to the bicycle, right? Learning how to ride a bike.
Right.
It's awkward.
Right.
It is very, you don't know how to do it, but you learn. And each time you get on that bike and you fall down, you get back on that bike, you keep going. And that is what we want you to do. We want you to cultivate confidence. We want you to shift your mindset from that doubt to willingness to attempt and to keep going and to keep saying, you know what, I'm willing to try. I'm going to keep going with this. Yep. Let's see here. I'm just reading through some of the notes, and I think we've kind of, covered this.
You're talking about like the doubt and the worry and like, oh, that's what, excuse me, the only, what did we learn? 85% of the things you worry about will never come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of that same thing. It's like you're spending this time worry about what other people think who probably aren't paying attention to you. Worry about how, I think you're right with that bicycle now. Like it takes time to learn. You're learning a new skill, or more importantly, maybe you're unlearning an old skill, right? Like I've always had this unhealthy crutch. Now I need to use a healthy crutch. So then maybe someday I don't need the crutch at all, right? And that's kind of the way that I've made my way through. It's like alcohol was my crutch. All right, well then a non-alcoholic beer was my crutch, so I at least would look quote unquote normal. And now I just don't need it.
Yeah.
But I think you have to find those, those things to kind of help clear that lint out and get rid of the negative thought. And like, okay, what can I substitute that negative thought with a positive version of it? But it's one step at a time, right?
It is. And
everybody wants to change tomorrow. It's
everybody wants to just go
fix.
They want to be there.
Right.
They're like, no, that's what I want. But we have to be willing to walk through it.
There's no magic pill.
There is no magic pill. And as you slowly go down this path or whatever it is with habit change that you're wanting to change, it just takes time to get there. And I'm going to tell you that over time, it does get easier.
Yep.
It really does. But what you have to do is whenever you're feeling that negativity, maybe you're feeling that stress around it, it's look for it and say, okay, what is that? Yep. Is that feeling that I'm feeling true? Is it valid? Can I stop myself in this? Getting in community, reaching out to people that understand what you're going through. And that, I think, is one of the hardest things, is because we also, as people pleasers, I don't want to bother you.
Right.
I don't want to bother you.
Oh, yeah.
No. That's, as a coach, that's what I'm like with my clients. I'm like, no, that's what you're paying me for. Let's do a check-in.
And it's hard to look back sometimes. So don't forget to journal, kids.
Journaling is really, really good too. And I
basically write down how you felt that day, good or bad. Then when you look back, you can remind yourself, oh, that's why I don't want to do that, because I felt horrible, or it felt really good. Maybe I do want to go back to that.
And along with your RAS, that LINT, you can put positive things in there too.
Right.
So that's why each day, like I start my day with my gratitude. I mean, writing out 10 things that you're grateful for, it doesn't matter if they're big or small. Even on those days where I'm not really feeling that grateful. No, because you wake up
I
and we
know.
all have different moods. But then when I have those mornings, I sit there and I switch it around and I make it an I get to list. I am grateful that I get to go here. I get to whatever it is.
Right,
I get to go, I get to do laundry.
Right.
All of those different things that we take for granted when we just have to.
Well, speaking negatively, thinking negatively, listening to negative things, watching negative things, that all feeds into your attitude.
Yeah. And I'm going to say also positive music, all different types of music. When I want to feel upbeat, and that I will put on music that makes me happy.
Oh, if you look at Spotify, I am all over the board.
But if I want to be calm, and when I'm doing, after I do my breath work and I'm doing my, prayer, meditation and that, I like to listen to some calm instrumental music, listening to that. Music does wonders for you.
Music calms the soul, as the song says. Speaking of music, kids.
So you're done.
I'm done. You're done.
Matt's
I'm cutting you off.
Matt's cutting me off. So, and I just want to do a shout out also to any of my Choose Freedom gals who are listening. You are doing amazing.
Go girls.
To any of my clients who are past or former or maybe even in the future, I am here for you. I am encouraging you. You can do this.
Coach Amy has a couple slots open if you want to get on some one-on-one training. Look her up, amy@joyontheirside.com.
Yep.
All right, kids, what's up for us for this week? Welcome to February. Hope you guys keep on trucking on your dry time.
Freedom February.
Oh, of course, you had to come up with a rhyme.
I didn't. A client gave it to me,
Really?
and I'm like, can I use it? She said, you go for it.
Freedom February.
Freedom
We're
February.
going to make a calendar that just has those names on all of them. All right, kids, that's up for it for us this week. Wishing you peace and love in the cornfields. I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy. We are out.